Scenes like this are becoming more common in Detroit. Standoffs between community members trying to stop an eviction and the workers hired to carry them out. The city of Detroit went bankrupt in 2013, and while there are some signs of recovery, many here are still struggling. Over 20,000 people are at risk of losing their homes this year for failure to pay property taxes. Detroit's eviction rate is the highest of any major U.S. city, and it's leading to neighborhoods that look like this one, where I met Zeus, a security guard. How have you seen this neighborhood evolve, say, the last 10 years?
I could give you the come-by-yard version, or I can just keep it real.
Real talk.
It's just f***ed up. When you have a school system that's crappy, you know, and they're not learning anything. You have people who live out of state, could care less what property looks like, and they'll buy it up, buy a ton of property, and do nothing to it. And then that's when you have structures and dwellings like this.
I've come here during the county's annual tax foreclosure auction, where properties at least 3 years behind on taxes get auctioned off online for as little as $500. It's a system that locals like Zeus say favors outsiders over longtime residents. Tell us a little about this picture. So this is at a Motown gig in New York with Stevie Wonder, the Supremes, and the Temptations?
Yeah, right.
Kenny Brinkley, a military veteran and Motown musician, lives in this house with his wife Sandy. It's been in the family for decades, but they're in danger of losing it.
All my family was here. It means a lot because they all stay here and they got this start.
What were the circumstances that led to you losing your home?
Kenny got sick.
Yeah.
He had to have a 3-way bypass. I lost my full-time job.
After decades of paying the property taxes, Kenny and Sandy just couldn't keep up. They appealed to the county to help lower their payments.
They always said, we're going to send you papers, you're eligible, everything's fine. The papers never came.
The county seized their house and auctioned it off. A local real estate company bought it and offered them a rent-to-own agreement, which they accepted. The company collected Kenny and Sandy's money, but never paid property taxes. Once again, their home went back into the auction without their knowledge.
We get a notice in the mail, an eviction notice from a new company.
The new owner is a California-based investor who runs a nursing home. He has bought up occupied properties across town. Kenny and Sandy have been fighting the eviction in court. What do you think the new owner's plans are for this house?
He wants to flip it, make some money. We've been to different demonstrations. This is where our hearts are, that someone will help keep us in our home. This is the company who's evicting us from our home. He said it's personal, and I'd rather drop $100,000 in court than to let you live in my house.
The last few years we've seen so many more properties in foreclosure than ever before.
One of the groups fighting the wave of evictions is the nonprofit United Community Housing Coalition. Ted Phillips is an attorney and housing advocate who's lived in Detroit for most of his life. We're in the thick of another auction. Your organization helps people stay in their homes. How did today go?
Rough day, really rough day. Overall, we've gotten 167 properties. That's significantly down from a year ago.
A new law prevents former owners from gaming the system by intentionally not paying their taxes and then buying their properties back for cheap in the auction. This new law was passed nominally to keep shady speculators out of the mix, but is it backfiring?
Well, it certainly looks like it. Banning all former owners from bidding isn't a way to do it. But if you do that, at least make an exception for the occupants of the homes.
Down the hall from Ted's office, a colleague meets with client Cassandra Emerson. Similarly to Sandy and Kenny, Cassandra was making payments thinking she would eventually own her house, but it was a scam.
Well, we've got great news for you. Okay. In looking over your file, it appears that we were successful in winning your home for you and your family at the Wayne County Treasurer's auction. The amount that we were successful was $500.
Seriously?
Can you believe it?
Seriously?
Isn't that great?
Okay.
Here's Kleenex. Wow. Wow. Wow.
My kids ain't gotta move. They ain't gotta move. They ain't gotta move no more.
I'm so happy that we were able to save your home for you.
If I had lost this house, my family would have been homeless. And this is a blessing because I've been trying to save this house for 2 years.
It's a huge relief.
It's hard to believe sometimes, but there's still hope in this city.
You're gonna stick it out as long as you can.
Yeah, where else am I gonna go? I'm a Detroiter. There's no place like it.
Cassandra's case is just one of thousands across the city. Housing has been such a problem for so long here that it's required federal intervention before. In the wake of the 2008 financial crisis, Michigan received nearly $500 million through the federal Step Forward bailout program to help struggling homeowners. How is Step Forward Michigan working?
The money's not getting spent the way it was intended. They're rejecting so many people, particularly low-income folks. Well, then somebody got the big idea that, well, why don't we start using it for tearing down homes?
A Chinese billionaire purchased this home in the 2013 housing auction, and it's one of dozens of properties he's bought in the neighborhood. It sat empty for 2 years, and now it's being torn down. Using money from the federal government, the city demolishes 150 derelict homes like this one every week, at a cost of about $15,000 per home.
We got to really keep our eye on these folks, and we got to hold their feet to the fire, as it were.
In a bid to save their home, Kenny and Sandy have joined Detroit Eviction Defense, a grassroots coalition of labor union activists, lawyers, and homeowners, many of whom have successfully fought the eviction process. They often rely on direct action techniques.
And we're going to try and fight in court, of course, but we all know that the power really comes from the streets.
The group stages home defenses, attempting to block the bailiff and movers from carrying out an eviction. It's a strategy that has worked for them in the past, but they were not successful this time.
Animal control! Look at him! Wow, look at him! And make sure you guys call us when they come after you.
Part of this bullshit.
Get off on it.
You part of this bullshit.
Eric Sabri is the treasurer for Wayne County. His office is responsible for collecting property taxes and running the auction. We've spoken to people all over the city that are at risk of displacement right now. What would you say to those who might not have a roof over their heads next week?
There's not really much I can say, because whatever I say to them at this point, when I'm the one that was involved in taking their property, isn't going to help them or make them feel any better. I had a lady come in and say, you know, my father's been in the morgue for 4 weeks. You know why? Because I can't afford to bury him. I got to make a choice between paying my taxes and burying my dad. So those are the kind of things that we deal with every day.
With each auction, the county collects less than 20% of the taxes owed.
If you look at the dollars and cents, maybe it is better to keep people in their homes. But we don't have the authority to do that. And until the laws change, we have to do our job. The people who stayed in Detroit and paid the high taxes and went through all this, some of them are losing their property. Those individuals, they have a right to be upset.
There's no reason why, if we weren't a little more creative, that we couldn't find ways to house more people for less money with what we have now.
The auctioning of occupied homes, there's got to be a better solution for that. All the city wants is give me your money. They don't care about their residents. They want to make the new ones happy, but they don't care about the people who have built and kept this city.